This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts. Like us on Facebook and get crafting today. Reaper Apparel Company. A commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit ReaperApparelCO.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of Entertainment Hour here on the Coast to Coast Network. I'm your host today with Dragon Viper and my co-host here, Mr. Chris P. Bacon. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a really busy week, really busy day. So, I'm hoping that now that, it's 7:30 here on the West Coast, that hopefully things are finally calming down, and hopefully it won't be so busy next week. And in his absence, James wasn't able to be on today, so I'm your lead today. So anyway, we're gonna start off with announcing other programs. So go ahead and announce some of the programs coming up, Chris.
Yeah, so this weekend we're gonna have morning tailgate, getting the playoffs ready for this weekend. Tonight I think we're gonna have the second episode of Bro Code, kind of revamped of Four Bros. Tonight, maybe a couple hours after this stream. And then you have Brandon and Tim's show, CTC Rankum. You have Between the Ropes on Tuesday. Wednesday we have Sports Minute, and Thursday we have Kicking It with Isaiah and Ace, and Creeping It Real. So just stick with the Coast to Coast Network.
All right, and that sounds good. Thank you for that, Chris. Yeah, it's just been a really busy week, so my mind's kind of frazzled right now. So I do thank Chris for the topics for tonight, because there would have been no way for me to actually be able to think of any. So anyway, so what we're gonna go ahead and talk about today right now is we're talk about a favorite show to watch when you're off work or off school. What is that to go to when it's bad weather out? You don't want to go anywhere. Stay at home in your pajamas if you want, and or if you're sick. So, what show or movie do you go to, Chris, when all that goes down?
Yeah, I usually, when I was little, I used to go to like game shows, Price is Right, stuff like that. It seemed to be what was on in the afternoon, I guess, or morning, depending on what time I tune in. It just depends. I was more of a Price is Right or Wheel of Fortune person, but I mean, all game shows are good. That's mainly what I watched.
Okay. Yeah, when I was home from school, I would usually watch, the same thing as you, kind of, I'd watch Price is Right. I'd watch, if my mom, or, I was around my mom, I'd be watching, court shows. I'd be watching Cops. Supermarket Sweep. I mean, there's a lot of different shows and cartoons I'd be watching. I mean, if I went along with, nowadays, like on my days off and I really don't want to drive because the weather's bad, I go to Peacock Network and watch, some WWE, older
Yeah.
wrestling, and or I go to other apps, TV streaming apps, and I watch things like Sons of Anarchy, Charmed, or Stranger Things. So it just depends on my mood, and it depends on how long I want to be sitting here watching TV, and what I'm in the mood in. So, but yeah, back in the day, yeah, definitely game shows were a big thing for me. So, and then moving on, we're gonna go ahead and preview a movie or TV series that we've seen this week. Chris, have you seen any TV series or movies this week?
I have I think a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Ironically, on the same topic as game shows, there's a new one called The Floor with Rob Lowe. Basically, I would think of it like Battleship, but with trivia. You're trying to get as many spots on the board as possible, eliminating your competitor by answering basically trivia questions in the form of a picture. Like they'll put up, to name a band, they'll put up Red Chili Peppers, and it's represented by Red Hot Chili Peppers, or something like that. And it's not a bad show. There's about 80 contestants, but it's throughout several weeks. And each week, so many people go home. It's not bad.
I'll have to check into it. You'll have to remind me what's it called again? For what?
The Floor. It's a Fox show.
Okay, The
So
Floor.
it's probably on Hulu.
Yeah, I'll have to check into that. And the movie review that I have chosen, again, I'm going back in time. This is, I mean, I mostly do this just because I like the older movies better than the new ones that seem to be coming out lately. So, but the movie I've chosen to watch was What About Bob with Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. And I thought, have you ever seen it, Chris?
What was it again?
It's What About Bob?
I haven't heard of it, no.
Yeah, it's Bill Murray, Richard Dreyfuss. Pretty much it's about Bill Murray being a hypochondriac. He's afraid of everything. And I think it's a hypochondriac thing, but no, in reality, in his mind, he's afraid of everything. And so he sees this psychiatrist, which is played by Richard Dreyfuss, and he, he's pretty much Bill Murray's pretty much attached to this psychiatrist. And so when the psychiatrist mentions that he's going on vacation for the Labor Day weekend, Bill Murray takes it upon himself to, take the advice of the psychiatrist, which is, take a vacation, take a break from your problems. Well, he ends up going to this family lake house where his psychiatrist is, and hangs out with the psychiatrist family. When the family likes the guy, but yet the psychiatrist doesn't, he wants his personal time away from his work, is pretty much what it is. And Bill Murray's, going to the house and continuously hanging out with the family. And it's a really good movie. And I don't want to really spoil it, but at the end, Richard Dreyfuss kind of goes nuts, and he would need a psychiatrist himself. That's how driven mad he is by Bill Murray's character. So Yeah, it was made in 91, and I really thought it was a good movie. I would watch it all the time with my dad and my parents growing up, and so
Yeah, I'll have to
it
check it out.
yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, especially if you like Bill Murray. I'm a huge Bill Murray fan, especially when with Ghostbusters, but with a few other movies he's got out there too. So, and that's definitely one of them. It's a comedy. Um, but no, I really love that movie, so I'll watch it when I get a chance every now and then. Um, so and this is gonna seem a little fast. I'm gonna try and slow it down a little because it's just you and I. So,
Mhm.
because we're already on album of the week, and it's not even
Right.
barely over 10 minutes. So, anyway, album of the week. Um, I have
Mhm.
chosen. I've gone to my country roots because the mainly the first thing I've listened to growing up was country because my mom really loved country. So I went back to the early 90s, and I've chosen Tracy Lawrence and his very first album, Alibis. I like Tracy Lawrence. I mean, I don't know if my mom's on here yet or not, but she had a major crush on him, back in the day. So, but I could listen to that CD, constantly without getting irritated with it. I actually have some of the songs on my Spotify because I really enjoy his songs. So, I mean, on the album, you have songs like "Can't Break It to My Heart," um, "Alibis," "My Second Home," and "If the Good Die Young." So, if you're a country fan, I definitely would suggest checking it out, listening to it. Um, yeah, I completely forgot to write down what year it was, but it was in the 90s, early 90s. So, yeah, definitely listen to it.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I was gonna say the country was big in the 90s. I know it is now, but it was really big in the 90s, probably early 2000s. A lot of good country songs though, but it's kind of hard just to pick one at times.
well, yeah, and back in the 90s, there was a lot 80s, 90s, even 70s and 60s. There was a lot of good country singers, a lot of good country music. But here's the thing is you look at, you bring that up, and people are like, "Oh, country, country, country." N- it to a point. These songs, I mean, I can't think of any artists at the moment, but you bring up artists from this generation, from the 2010s to the 20s, and it's not real country, even not even real country that I grew up on, and I'm not that old.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um, you've got these people saying that they're pure country. They're not really that pure of country. They've got a little mixed into it. I mean, you have people like Jason Aldean that's trying to bring that back, and that's really cool. But I'm looking at especially the 80s and 90s where I grew up, and that was real country, like Hank Williams Jr. and Tammy Wynette, and all those people, Johnny Cash. So, um, but yeah, that I broke away from what we were talking about, but yeah, that
Oh, you're
that
good.
was country back then.
Mhm.
This not so much now. There's a few stars trying to bring it back or trying to sound like it, and like I said, Jason Aldean. But and he does a good job.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is your album of the week there, Chris?
I don't really have one per se. I'm not really quite sure if there's a song to pick. I mean, we can continue the country route, and I know, Randy Travis had a few good songs. You consider him like in the earlier country or more of the later country?
Randy Travis would actually be considered the earlier because he actually started
Right.
in the early to mid 80s. And he had a bunch of hits that were number one and amazing singer. Yes, he had trouble with the law, 5-10 years ago, but and has
Yeah.
had a stroke and health issues, but another amazing singer.
Yeah. I would probably have to go that route though. Any of his probably.
Yeah, you have Three Wooden Crosses. You have, wow, yeah. I'm drawing a blank. What? Wow. Anyway, but yes, anybody that knows Randy Travis knows the songs that he walked on water. You guys know what songs he has out there. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here, and I actually listen to them all the time on my phone. So, but and then of course you have great country singers back in the again 80s, 90s. George Strait, Garth Brooks. I think they're they're not wrong when they say that George Strait is the king of country. They're not wrong.
No.
And then of course you have Garth Brooks, who's in second. But yeah, there was going back to it. There was some really good country back then, and so yeah, Randy Travis is a good one. I really like him. All right, and now we're gonna move on. And if people want to comment, they can. I'll read them.
Yeah.
We'll make sure they're read. So if anybody wants to comment, say hi. I don't think my mom's on yet because she actually would have said hi. So, anyway, so we're gonna go on to new shows or movies that are streaming for this week, and I did it a little bit different this week. I only wrote like three. This one I wrote 4 shows because the first one was really really short that I wrote down. But one of the things that's coming out on streaming on Max is Little Richard, I Am Everything, and it's just pretty much a documentary on Little Richard and what he went through in the 50s when he became popular and his life. And so anybody that even knows who Little Richard is, he actually was a good singer, or is. He's not dead. But yeah, he is a good. Yeah, well, he's a good singer, but it's just pretty much a documentary of his life and how he got started and everything else. So check it out on Max. And then you have a movie named The Finest Kind, and it's played by Tommy Lee Jones, Ben Foster, and Jenna Ortega, who some know as Wednesday from the new or Wednesday Adams on the new Wednesday TV show, or I guess
Like a
streaming
Addams
show.
Family spin-off.
What was that?
Kind of thing. Addams Family spin-off or
Yeah, Yeah, kind of like the Adams Family spinoff called Wednesday on Netflix. Anyway, it's about a story of two brothers raised in different worlds. They're raised separately. They reunite, and because they're or they reunite as adults, they're backed into a corner, into a wall, and then they end up making a deal with a crime gang, to help their issues out and get them away from that wall. And then you have a young woman who is played by uh, Jenna Ortega. Uh, tries to, or she gets caught in the middle of it, and um, so go ahead and watch that. That's going to be on Paramount. Another movie is Showing Up, and that's on Amazon. And it's played by Michelle Williams and Andre 3000. For those of you that don't know who Andre 3000 is, it's one of the singers for Outkast, group
Okay.
from a group from the late, way late 90s to early 2000s. But anyway, it's just pretty much a sculptor who's played by Michelle Williams. She lives in Oregon, and she is preparing an exhibit showing her works as a sculptor, her pieces that she sculpts. She prepares for an exhibit. Her preparations end up getting interrupted, and things get destroyed because of a jealous neighbor. She's got family members that, try and stop her from it, and acts of nature. So, because of all those roadblocks that she had to deal with, trying to do her start her exhibit, not only did it threaten her sculpture pieces, but her sanity. So, you can again see that on Amazon. I'm actually kind of curious in watching it because I do live in Oregon, so I'm kind of curious on where that was filmed. And then the last streaming movie that I wrote down was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and it's the newest one out there. Hopefully, and they're saying that hopefully it's Harrison Ford is saying hopefully it's the last one.
I've heard that.
Yeah, he's I think he's wanting to be done with Indiana Jones altogether. So I think it could be the last Indiana Jones movie, at least with him. But anyway,
I don't think.
What?
I was gonna say I don't think he hates the character. I just think he's just like, yeah, I think the character's done.
Yeah, I don't think he hate. I agree. I don't think he hates it. I think it's the fact that he's been doing it for so long, and what, it's like 4 movies out, 5 movies out. I lost track, but
20
I think
movies,
he's
who
done.
knows?
Yeah, it could be 20. But I think he's pretty much done with the Indiana Jones character. I think he's just ready to move on. He likes doing it, but um, yeah, and he's getting to that age anyway, where he's getting ready to want to retire soon. So, or at least that's what I think. That he's at that age now. He's about ready to call it done, but who knows? Anyway, Indiana Jones is struggling to fit into a world that seems to pass him by when an old nemesis returns, which I haven't watched all the Indiana Jones movies, so I don't know what nemesis that they're talking about. But I guess
giant boulder. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. The giant boulder's coming back. But
I really don't know. I haven't seen them all, but
Yeah. But anyway, so he needs to make sure that a powerful ancient artifact does not go into the wrong hands of the bad guys. So, yeah, I guess it's supposed to be a good movie. Look it up. You can see it on Disney Plus. Which I should probably start watching Indiana Jones a little more because, yeah, it's over my head at this point.
Right.
So, and that's all I've got for streaming. I mean, I know you did some looking around. Did you find anything?
Just that, like you were saying, Little Richard documentary, that seems interesting. No matter if it's a celebrity sports athlete, kind of getting the behind the scenes stuff of their career or their lifestyle, kind of how their day-to-day lifestyle is kind of interesting, or how they became what they are today. It's always interesting, and I'm sure that's going to be an interesting, documentary to see. Kind of like you, Indiana Jones. I haven't seen much parts here and there, but that's probably one thing I would see. And then also, I think it is kind of confirmed that we're going to get a Top Gun 3.
Really? I didn't even hear about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh. Well, I guess I should probably watch number 2 then.
But I don't think 3 is going to be out for a while, so I mean, you got time.
Yeah, I got plenty of time. And
Probably
you mentioned about the documentaries, and I do enjoy watching documentaries too. I do enjoy watching how they become who they become, as a singer or an actor, actress, or athlete, So I tend to watch a lot of documentaries. Some the person I don't really care for, but I still watch the documentaries because it is interesting. So I'm a big documentary person and I enjoy it. And out of all those movies that I had read so far, the streaming, I'd have to, say that I want to actually watch the, Showing Up because again, it was done in Oregon. So, I think that'd be, interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and move on to movies in theaters, that are coming out this week. First one is an interesting one, and I kind of want to watch this, but it's called Boys in the Boat, and it's played by Callum Turner and Sam Strike. And pretty much what it is it's about the year 1936, the University of Washington rowing team. They competed for the gold at the Summer Olympics in Berlin. And it's just pretty much another documentary of this underdog team that is at the height of the Great Depression, and they end up in the spotlight to try and take others on from around the world to win the gold. So I think that'd be an interesting, movie to watch. Because it's not only a documentary, but I like watching some, some history things. And that's definitely one I would enjoy probably watching. I mean, and then another one is Driving Madeline, with Christian Carlin, Danny, if I can talk, Danny Boone, and Lynne Renaud. And it's just pretty much about a taxi driver. He's having a bad day. He's going to end up losing everything that he's worked for. and he's going to end up losing his job. And then you have a 92-year-old woman who, gets picked up by this taxi driver. And she mentions that it's not going to be his usual route from point A to point B. It's going to be stopping at multiple places because she's going to end up in a nursing home, and she feels that this is the last time she gets to drive around in the city, and it's based in Paris. And she wants to drive around and stop at all these places that she used to stop to try and get some memories, and remember everything before she ends up in a nursing home. So towards the end there, they end up becoming really good friends, and just change his luck around, and things would get better for him. And that's another one I actually want to see. And it's about them having the nostalgia of thinking about everything that she did, and to be able to do that. If I were to do something like that, that would bring back a lot of memories too, especially because I was raised in this town. So I grew up in this town, so there's a lot of spots that sometimes I go to that it's like, yes, I did this with, my brother. I hung out with my friends here. And I would do that once in a while. But yeah, that'd be a good movie to watch.
Yeah.
And then
Would.
what was that?
I said it would. I agree.
Yeah. The final movie that I have is TIM, and it's an acronym of TIM, which means technologically, if I could say it, integrated manservant. And what this movie's about, it's got Georgina Campbell and Spencer Brown. And what this movie's about is a prosthetics engineer ended up working on a product. She ended up making this AI humanoid named Tim, and it was supposed to do anything that she wanted it to do. It was supposed to, it was supposed to be programmed to serve only her and no one else. And then there were issues and something like tweaked within that AI that he started becoming obsessive with her. I guess her marriage ended because it was to a point that it became very dangerous. And so her marriage ended, and she I guess she was fighting for her life and dealing with a dangerously obsessive robot. So I don't know if I'd really want to watch that one, because I'm not really into movies with AI and robots, and I mean I'm seeing it enough in the real world startup. I really don't know if I want to watch a movie about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, was there out of those three that I read, what sounds interesting to you?
Probably the first one. What was it? Boys in the Boat. I think
Yeah.
it was. I know the Olympics are coming up this year, the Summer Olympics. So I'm sure that one's going to be very popular since the Olympics are around the corner. The AI, no, I can't talk. The AI one, that
It's
that
contagious.
sounds a little bit close to home, a little bit. Only that because we're using a lot of AI stuff nowadays, and who knows what's that going to turn into. Some of it's self-driving cars now,
Hmm.
even though they're still being developed, and uh, some restaurants are doing robotic waiters kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch that one, although it could happen in real life. Who knows? Still scary.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, I had read something the other day that, and I don't remember. Oh, it's I think in Japan. They literally have I think it's a McDonald's.
Hmm.
They have AI everything. There's no human that works in that restaurant. Everything is robot generated, everything is computer generated. If you want something, you have to, you know, put your order in on the computer, and then and then somehow a robot or something would cook the food, and then it would come out to you with the food. And yeah, that's creepy.
That is
um
creepy. I don't know
and
if I
then
would.
and then I have a coworker. He told me one time that he went up to a friend's wedding in Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
And when he went to his friend's wedding, his friend actually had a self-driving car.
Oh wow.
They were on one end of the hotel, the car was on the other end, and the his friend who was the driver, all he had to do was like push a button or something, and it sensed where that key was, and it literally drove to them so that they could get in there and then leave. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really creeped out now.
And I
So
would hate to be the police, and something suspicious happens with the vehicle, and you're like, but there's no one in there.
yeah,
I don't know what to do.
exactly. I can't give the guy a ticket. There's nobody in here.
Right.
So yeah, I think that Tim movie, I don't think I would be really wanting to talk about or wanting to watch, just because I could see it in real life. Why would I want to watch a movie about it?
Yeah.
And so anyway, yeah, that those are the three movies from the theaters. Did you look up any more, or did you find
I
any?
didn't see anything else. No.
Okay. Um, and then just remember, the people that are watching, just remember that, you still have Ghostbusters new movie coming out. You have still, it's still coming out. You have uh Beverly Hills Cop 4 coming out eventually this
Hmm.
year. You have on the Netflix series side, you have Stranger Things 5 possibly coming out this year. Maybe they moved it to 25. I don't know, but so
Right.
far as I know, it's supposed to be in 24. Um, so yeah, just check it out. Um, the theater, check out Rotten Tomatoes is a good site to look for, streaming stuff. Fandango is a good site to check out stuff from the theaters. So uh, check those sites out. And
Mhm.
we're going on to our top 10 list. It was going to be top 5, but because it's only me and Chris here, there's not going to be trivia because that would just that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
That'd be a little weird. So, and I don't
Right.
want I don't want an AI to read us questions.
No.
Um
Number one. I'm just kidding.
yeah. So we went ahead and took out the trivia for tonight, but
Yeah.
we do have a top 10 list, and it's
Hmm.
actually the top 10 list of the 90s cartoons. Being a kid, really enjoyed the cartoons that were on. I think they're kind of crap now, uh,
Yeah.
nowadays. And I've heard several statements, whether if it's on Facebook, whether if it was mentioned to me by coworkers or friends or parents or family, that cartoons nowadays are crap. They're not good anymore. So it's not just me saying it, it's everybody else.
I agree
Um,
with that statement.
So, but I thought about, a top 10. I mean, what can we do, for a list for tonight, for this week? And I was like, we haven't done cartoons yet. And I was big in cartoons. I mean, being born in '84 and growing up through the '80s and the '90s, there was a lot of good cartoons that I really enjoyed watching. So
Same.
here is my list of cartoons. And I do have 3 honorable mentions, like I always do, because it's so hard to choose just 10. So here's my list. Of course, I have to have number 1 as Beavis and Butthead. For one, to annoy my mother, because my mother did not enjoy the fact that it was there, on.
Mine either.
Yeah, my mom's just like, no, you're not watching that. No, absolutely not. So, but I put it as number 1 because I really love the show, and now that as an adult I can watch it. But and I put it on there to annoy my mother.
We're not counting the remake either, right?
Huh?
We're not counting the remake, right? Or
No.
add-on or whatever.
So love you, Mom. Number 2, another show my mom didn't want us watching was Ren and Stimpy. I really liked that show.
My mom didn't mind that show.
Well, it was on Nickelodeon, and the only time I could ever watch that was if we ended up going about 2.5 hours to my grandmother's house, and we would watch it. And my mom's not even paying attention at that point. So, my brother would watch it. It was fun. Number 3, Gargoyles. Really love that TV show, that cartoon. Really loved it. I tried watching it every single time it was on. Another one, Darkwing Duck. Really enjoyed it. Liked the theme for it. And it seems like that, and a few of these I'm reading off, happened to be on every day after I got home went to, because we were too young to be left alone. So we had a babysitter that would watch us, and she would have it on the cartoons after school. It would start at 3 or 3:30, something like that. But there are a few that I have on this list that was actually on TV when I was, getting out of school. So anyway, Darkwing Duck. Number 5, Sunday mornings, Animaniacs.
Yes.
Always watch that show.
All of them. Yeah.
I actually intimidate. No, I imitated one of them all the time too, and it would annoy my parents. 6 would be X-Men. And I think I like the X-Men cartoon better than I did the movies, but that's, in my opinion, I like the cartoon than the movies better. 7, Chippendales Rescue Rangers. I liked it. Number 8 was, DuckTales.
That was hit and miss, I think.
Huh?
That was hit and miss for me. I don't know. I mean, I liked it sometimes, and I didn't in others. I mean,
well, I had fun as a kid singing the songs, so I mean, I think that was one of the reasons why I really liked it. Number 9 was Goof Troop, and number 10 was Real Monsters.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And again, I'd be, 2.5 hours away from home at my grandma's, and we'd be watching on Nickelodeon. We watched a lot of Nickelodeon as kids.
I did too. Yeah.
Because when I was home, we didn't have Nickelodeon here. There was no such thing as Nickelodeon on cable here. So the only way we could watch Nickelodeon was go to my grandma's house. Honorable mentions, Bonkers. I
Never
kind
heard
of
of that
consider
one.
myself, bonkers half the time. Tailspin. I really like that show.
I remember
And
that
Bobby.
one.
Huh?
Kind of remember that one.
Tailspin? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's with Baloo. He flies a plane. And forgot Louie is the monkey, the ape, whatever you want to call him.
Right.
Louie is at like what do they call it? I don't want to say a bar because it's not going to be a bar. A juice bar. We'll just say.
Oh, right.
And so anyway, yeah, it's Baloo, and he flies a plane. And then the other honorable mention is Bobby's World. And I'm trying to remember who it was that was the actual star of that show. Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel was the
he was the host of Deal or No Deal. I'm just playing. That
well, I
part's
guess
true, but not in the
yeah,
show.
it is true. No, you could actually say that he was the host of Bobby's World too. Because he would be on the beginning of the show, and then of course they would show the cartoon, and then he'd be on the end of the show, and he joked. I think he joked around about saying that was how his life was as a kid, and it portrayed him as a kid. And we have Gene Carlson. My mother finally made it on here. Hi, Mom. But anyway, so yeah, those ones I enjoyed. But I mean, and I liked Howie Mandel. And being a young kid, I actually thought that he actually was Bobby's World. I thought he was portraying him as himself in that show. But you grow up and you find things and realize that some things aren't true.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
All right, go ahead, Chris.
Oh man, I do have a list. It was hard to make into a list. There's a lot of good cartoons, but here we go. Number 1, Batman, the animated series from 92 to 95. Number 2 was Animaniacs. Number 3, yeah, it started in the 90s, but it kind of continues on now. Actually, way past before the 90s. But it was The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
And then number 4 was Dexter's Laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 was Rugrats.
Yeah.
Not the newer one they came out with, but the older ones.
Yeah, definitely the older ones.
Yeah. Number 7 was X-Men, the animated series. The next one was SpongeBob. Of course, it's on now. When I was little, I used to like Pokemon. It's on my list. And then, of course, Ren and Stimpy. A few honorable mentions. Doug, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, I remember Johnny Bravo. He annoyed the crap out of
me. Why did he annoy you?
He annoyed me. The only reason he annoyed me, okay, I wanted to at first be like him. I'm like, yeah, he's pretty cool, and I really didn't get to see much of him because it was again on a channel that we never had that my grandma did. So I did see a little here and there of him, but I thought, hey, he's pretty cool, man, and try to be like him. And then all of a sudden, just the voice sounded more and more like Elvis, and I'm just like,
I think that's where the producers came, when creating the character. I think he was a mix of like some kind of surfer and Elvis. I don't know, but I know the
I
Elvis part.
I think that's where the direction they were trying to go with that was, and I don't know. I'm not a real big Elvis fan, so hearing the voice and it's like, oh geez, yep, sounds a little more like Elvis all the time I hear it. So yeah, I don't know. Johnny Bravo kind of started getting annoying after a while, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's a cartoon character. It's not real Randy. Um, so
So, speaking of real, what do you think of the conspiracy theories of The Simpsons, like predicting all of this stuff?
I I took a break from watching Simpsons because
I haven't seen
I
it
don't know.
forever, but
I haven't really seen it in a long time either. Um, because it's getting to the point where it's repetitive. I don't know how. I mean, I would watch it back, back in the day.
mhm.
Sorry, mom, but I did. Um, but I watched Simpsons back in the day, and I don't know. It just you can't. I guess there's only a couple shows you can do every week for years and years and years. And yes, I'm talking one of them as WWE. Um, but you've got a TV show, Simpsons, who tends to predict things, and it's starting to creep me out a little
Yeah,
because they predicted some things and it's come true.
yeah, that
Um,
is freaky.
I did read about this current one where they're talking about 2024, and
Mhm.
I'm just kind of like going, they aren't right on, 100%.
On the years. Right.
Through all these years, they're not right on 100%. I'd say about 80% they
Mhm.
were correct. Um, I'm hoping that this is the 20 that they were not. The 20% they're not correct. I don't
Unless it's
know.
something good, unless it's like a good prediction, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The recent episodes that I've been reading about, I'm just kind of like, okay.
And
Um,
and and the crazy thing is they're making another movie.
oh, are they? I didn't hear about
Yeah.
that.
Apparently you
And
can
my
buy tickets for
and my mom.
2025.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't heard that yet. And my mother's called me a naughty boy because I watch Simpsons behind her back. So not surprising. Uh, yeah, you missed most of the show, Mom. So you'll probably say that when you watch the rest of the show. Anyway, um, so yeah, I don't know that's crazy. The Simpsons predictions have been crazy. Yeah,
Another one I could have put on my list was King of the Hill. I don't know if that started in the 90s, but
it did, and
uh,
I don't know. I kind of like that show, but I don't know. I quit watching it. It's like Simpsons. It's like South Park. It started getting stale. It started getting dull and
Family Guy,
boring. Huh?
like Family Guy. I haven't seen
Yeah,
it
Family
forever.
Guy's another one that I would watch. I'd be happy I'm watching it. It was funny, and then it got to the point to where they I don't know if it's because I grew up and I take things differently than I did, in my early 20s, late teens,
Hmm.
or what, but it's different now.
Yeah.
So I don't I I don't know. King of the Hill, Simpsons, South Park, Family Guy, all of them. I can't. I barely watch. I'll go and watch the older ones,
Mhm.
but the newer, I mean, the older seasons of all those shows, I'll watch. The newer ones, I don't know. I just can't really get into. Um, I know that there was a time someone was trying to get me to watch a newer episode of Family Guy or a newer season, and I'm just kind of
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm watching it. You know, there are a little bit of funny parts, but I don't know. I just can't get into the newer ones. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I did, yes, Mom, Beavis and Butthead. I did mention that. I did watch that. In fact, it's my number one 90s cartoon on my list. So there you go. So anyway, yeah. So I think we're about at that time.
Yeah,
Actually, we did pretty good.
we did.
Especially because I like to, talk real fast and all that. So anyway, as we end this, do you have any final comments, words, anything?
No, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. Good entertainment hour this week. Uh, James should be back next week. Um, but it was a good show, and we're gonna have great shows coming up in the next week.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, I want to thank, people for watching. Thanks, Mom, for commenting, even though it's, uh, I don't know, making or whatever. Anyway, thanks, Mom, for commenting. It's been a very long week. Oh, and now she's threatening to tell my father. I don't know. Dad was one of the ones letting me watch some of it. Anyway, so anyway, yeah, thanks again, Mom, for commenting. Thank you everybody for watching. Again, like Chris said, James should be back by next week. And then we can do trivia again because I really like doing trivia, and we missed it this week. So, anyway, I hope everybody has a good night and have a good week.